This video is sponsored by MotionVFX and their brand new M-Bundle film toolset for Final Cut Pro 10 users. Stay tuned to find out more. I'm Andrew Edwards, and you're watching Gear Live. The brand new Apple Mac Pro is meant for true professionals to get work done. One of the main features of the Mac Pro is that it is expandable, unlike pretty much every other Mac in Apple's lineup. In this video, I give you a look at how I made my Mac Pro more pro and optimized it for video editing, and show you how you can do it too by adding in some key internal components and upgrades. What is going on, Tech Squad? Andrew Edwards here, editor-in-chief of GearLive.com, and as I mentioned today, we are talking about how to make the Mac Pro more pro by taking advantage of the expandability features. And I'm talking about the expandability that allows us to open up the Mac Pro and install specific upgrades and add-ons to make it even better and more customized for the work that we need to do. Now, obviously, as you're watching me right now, you know that I make and edit videos for YouTube, for Instagram, Facebook, social media, etc. And so I wanted to optimize my Mac Pro for that specific task. So in this video, I'm going to show you the different things I added to my Mac Pro, and I did it all myself, saving a lot of money in the process and creating an even better beast to get my work done. Now, as we go through these products, I will be leaving links to everything I talk about down in the description below. So if there's anything you see that you want to pick up, you'll find it down there. All right, so let's jump in with my first component that I added into the Mac Pro, saving a lot of money in the process by doing it myself, that being the RAM. Now, as is typical, RAM upgrades on a Mac from Apple are pretty much the biggest ripoff when buying any Mac. For example, if you wanted to upgrade from the 32 gigabyte standard configuration Mac Pro up to 96 gigabytes, adding in 64 gigabytes, Apple will charge you an extra $1,000 for that privilege, for that extra 64 gigabytes of RAM. However, if you go on Amazon and buy a 64 gigabyte upgrade kit from Nemix, rather than paying $1,000, you end up paying just $200, and all you need to do is upgrade it yourself, which is one of the easiest things you can do to upgrade a Mac. Now, for the purposes of this video, I wanted to max out my Mac Pro and put in all the RAM that it can handle. I usually have a ridiculous amount of tabs open in both Safari and Chrome. I've got Final Cut Pro 10 open all day, and I've also got Parallels open and running a virtualized copy of Windows 10 Pro, so I'm happy to take all the RAM that I can get. Now, Mac Pro configurations with the 8, 12, or 16 core processors are able to accept up to 768 gigabytes of RAM, while the 24 and 28 core models support a whopping 1.5 terabytes of RAM. Now, since I have the 16 core Mac Pro, my machine is able to handle 768 gigabytes of RAM, so I opted for 12 64 gigabyte RAM modules. Now, let me tell you how much money I saved here by doing this myself. If you're buying the RAM from Apple, the cost for a 768 gigabyte system using 12 64 gig RAM modules is $10,000, which is obviously a ridiculous amount of money. That is more than the cost of the Mac Pro itself at its base level. Instead, I was able to get 12 64 gigabyte Nemix RAM modules from Amazon for a total of $3,567, saving $6,433 off of Apple's price for the exact same end result. That is insane. Now, having this amount of RAM results in all sorts of speed anywhere I need it. Like I said, virtual machines. I can run multiple virtual machines now. I can have all the tabs that I want open in Chrome or Safari. I can be doing video encoding. I can have compressor open. I can be editing a video, all this at the same time with no slowdown, particularly for apps that take advantage of RAM. All right, so once I had the RAM maxed out, I then needed to find the next upgrade to optimize the Mac Pro for my video editing needs. So the next thing I needed for video editing was to add a very fast internal PCIe SSD storage card and I did that with the OWC Excelsior 4M2 PCIe card. Now the OWC Excelsior 4M2 is a PCIe storage card that comes in 1, 2, 4, and even 8 terabyte sizes. And it spreads your data across 4 built-in SSD modules. The reason that I like it is because it can reach speeds of over 6 gigabytes per second in RAID 0, which is incredibly fast when editing 6K footage, which is exactly what I record here on the Panasonic Lumix S1H. The unit plugs into a full height, half length X8 or X16 PCIe slot on the Mac Pro with no need for drivers to get things going. Now I also turned off macOS journaling on this drive in particular to further optimize it for video editing, and it just flies incredibly fast. I'm using the 8 terabyte model, which costs $1,999. But you can also choose the $529 1 terabyte model, the $679 2 terabyte model, or the $1,099 4 terabyte unit. Now, before we move on to the next addition that I did to make my Mac Pro more pro for video editing in particular, I want to thank this video sponsor, and they are the perfect sponsor for a video specifically about the Mac Pro and video editing. That would be MotionVFX. If you do video editing on a Mac, then you've likely heard of MotionVFX. They make great looking, easy to use plugins and templates for Final Cut Pro 10, After Effects, and Premiere Pro. Recently, they bundled several of their products into a collection called M-Bundle Film, giving you a set of tools that are dedicated to making your videos more cinematic. You get M-Film Look, which includes 60 cinematic presets and 30 LUT color grades, M-Flare 2, which gives you 100 lens flare presets, the M-LUT loading tool, M-LUT Film, and M-LUT Film 2, which gives you a total of 55 professional LUTs. You get M-Transition Shade for 71 Final Cut transitions, and you get M-Title Cinematic, which gives you a set of 50 cinematic Final Cut titles. Now separately, these tools would cost you $594 from MotionVFX, but bundled together, you get it all for $299. It's almost half price. You're saving $295. A lot of the titles and effects you see in my videos are actually made by MotionVFX, they're MotionVFX plugins, and I highly recommend them if you're looking to add some extra personality and pop to your videos. If you're interested in the M-Bundle Film package, I will leave a link down in the description below. And once again, big shout out to MotionVFX for sponsoring this video. All right, now that I have my RAM maxed out, and I have one of the fastest drives that I can find for video editing, I also wanted to find a way to get a large amount of internal storage inside the Mac Pro. With my iMac Pro, I had several external hard drives plugged in, and I wanted to consolidate everything into one huge drive, if possible, inside the Mac Pro to clear off some desk space and to just not have everything spread across multiple drives. This would allow me to store things like old video projects, exported videos, and just anything else I wanted to use for mass storage. The product that I found is the Pegasus R4i from Promise. The Pegasus R4i is 32 terabytes of raw hard drive capacity in the form of an MPX module, housing 4 8 terabyte 7200 RPM drives. Each Mac Pro supports up to 2 MPX modules, and you can install the Pegasus R4i in either of the 2 MPX bays. The R4i supports RAID 0, 1, 5, 6, and 10, and I opted for the RAID 5 configuration, which ends up giving me a protected 24 terabytes of internal hard drive space, which is again perfect for storing old video libraries, old projects, and old exports as well. It's also fast enough for 4K and high resolution video editing and creative workflows, so there's nothing stopping you from using this as a production drive if you wanted to. The Promise Pegasus R4i is available now, and you can find it for $2,299.95. And last up on the upgrades I did to make my Mac Pro more pro is another product from Promise. This time I wanted something internal that could handle my hourly time machine backups. So I didn't want to have an external drive handling backups either. I wanted everything as much as possible basically to be on the inside of the Mac Pro. And one thing that the Mac Pro has isn't internal SATA connections, but you do need to buy this particular Promise product in order to use it, and that is the Promise Pegasus J2i 8 terabyte internal storage enclosure. Now the Pegasus J2i is a 2-drive internal enclosure that ships with one 3.5-inch 7200 RPM 8 terabyte hard drive pre-installed in one of the drive bays, and it includes the space to add a second hard drive of your own, along with SATA and power connection cables to connect it to the Mac Pro motherboard. Now it should be noted that the Promise J2i uses a SATA connection, so you're not gonna see the fastest PCI speeds that you would get using SSD drives and some of the other slots. But again, if this is just for time machine backups, that's fine. We don't need to have the fastest storage in that spot because we're not really doing anything with it. We're just letting Time Machine do its own thing and back up my main 4 terabyte Mac Pro solid state drive. Now another tip on this, Promise says that this is only compatible with 3.5-inch hard drives. That is actually not true. 3.5-inch hard drives fit into it perfectly, but you can also use 2.5-inch SATA SSD drives. They just won't fit in as snugly. They'll be a little more loose, but that's fine because they're super light, and that gives you solid state through SATA, giving you less moving parts and less heat as well. In fact, my one main complaint about the Promise Pegasus J2i is the fact that they only sell it for $400 with the 8 terabyte hard drive, which I imagine most people don't want. We just want the enclosure. Sell us the enclosure for $100, keep your hard drive, let me put my own drives in it, and everybody would be happier. Well, probably with the exception of Promise, who gets to charge you for an 8 terabyte spinning disk that you probably don't want. Now again, links to everything will be down in the description below. That would be links to the Nemix RAM that I purchased to max out the RAM on the Mac Pro, a link to the OWC Excelsior 4M2 PCIe SSD storage card that gives you speeds up to 6 gigabytes per second read and write, the Pegasus Promise R4i MPX module giving me 24 terabytes of internal fast storage, and of course the Pegasus J2i, which allows me to add in a couple more drives to handle Time Machine in particular. And of course, shout out to the sponsor of this video, MotionVFX, and their M-Bundle film tool set. I will leave a link to that in the description as well. Any questions you have about my Mac Pro upgrades, or upgrades you think I should do to the Mac Pro, or that you want to hear about that I should try for the Mac Pro, let me know down in the comments below and I will meet you there for further discussion. If you want to hear even more thoughts on the Mac Pro and workflows in particular, be sure to subscribe to the Geared Up podcast. Geared Up is the show I do each and every week with John Rettinger, where we take a look at the latest in tech, gadgets, and games. All you need to do is search for Geared Up in your favorite podcast player. You'll see us pop up and you can subscribe to us right there. Oh, and by the way, I did do a video showing a mistake, a blunder, a blooper I made with my original order of the Mac Pro. If you want to see that, I will also leave that link down below as well as up here if you want to check that out. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for commenting, and thank you so much for sharing as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andrew Edwards, and I will catch you in the next video.